So for today's class, with the focus on releasing the neck, the shoulders, the whole shoulder girdle complex. So oftentimes we talk about the shoulders like just being this joint, but we kind of forget that it's linked to a lot of other things in the upper body here as well. So what makes up part of the shoulder joint, there's a little bone that curves around the side here, is in fact the scapula. So the scapula is part of the shoulder joint. And then don't forget, we've got all these muscles that move the scapula around, sort of between the shoulder blades or the rhomboids. And then there are other muscles that come along underneath the side here called the serratus. So we need to do a little bit of work on those muscles. And then don't forget, part of the shoulder joint is this arm bone here. This arm bone is called the humerus. So it's a ball and socket joint. It should have quite an amazing range of movement, but oftentimes those very deep muscles around the shoulder get a little bit stuck, and those are called the rotator cuff muscles. So we want to pay attention to those, plus the other superficial muscles. And then what also moves the arm around are going to be the pectoral muscles, and then the more superficial muscles called the deltoids. So we're dealing with a lot of muscles around this whole complex. And then on top of that, if we've got any sort of issues with the thoracic spine area, so if you're stuck in a rounded spine position, if you've had any kind of injuries around there, the thoracic spine, if it gets stuck, is going to affect the shape of the rib cage. And then that shape of the rib cage is then going to affect how the scapula moves. So, I mean, you can see how it goes layer upon layer upon layer. It gets like quite complicated as well. And then if there's something going on with the thoracic spine, oftentimes the neck gets affected. So I've said it before in class, and it just kind of brings it together on a physical level, anatomy level, is that oftentimes if the shoulder isn't working appropriately, we end up taking strain in the neck. Like these two are very closely linked. So people sometimes get headaches, but it's kind of all part of what's happening with the shoulder girdle. And then the last thing I want to point out is that we have this major breathing muscle called the diaphragm, which actually sort of creates this seal just below the lungs and the heart and attaches to the ribs. So if there's something going on with thoracic spine, then there's going to be something going on with the rib cage, and then it's going to affect the diaphragm as well. So when we do today's class, I'm relating all of it to the shoulders, but just so you know why I'm focusing on all these other aspects of the upper body as well, so that it makes sense. All right. So guys, if you've got any questions as we go, feel free to pop them into the chat box. Otherwise, we will have a chat afterwards. And then lastly, I just want to say, if you do have an injury, like an acute injury, like some people frozen shoulder or an impingement, then please don't force your body to do anything it doesn't want to do. Okay, just keep it really, really small. All right, so please come up into a standing position, and we're going to be standing against a wall or a cupboard or a door, so that I want you to feel your body is completely supported. So bring your feet a little bit away. Separate your feet slightly, big toes in line. Let your knees soften. And the reason I want the knees bent is because it actually sort of releases the lower back, so you don't feel like you're holding your lower back. And then I just want you to lean back. Feel how your rib cage connects to the wall or the door. And then don't force your head back. If you're one of those people where the back of your head naturally connects to the surface, then go for it. Mine doesn't. My head is a little bit away. And then I just want you to simply roll your ribs from side to side. So you're doing almost a little bit of a rotation of the thoracic spine. My pelvis is staying still, and I'm just rolling to the right, rolling to the left, just getting a little bit of movement through the upper back. And then come to the center. Take a moment to close your eyes and pause, relax, connecting feet to the ground and get that sensation of your head floating upwards. And without changing anything, observe the position of your shoulders, your elbows, your wrists, and your hands. Perhaps notice if one shoulder is higher than the other, and don't change it, just notice. Maybe one shoulder is more forward than the other. And then notice your elbows. Are your elbows equally bent? Maybe one side is a little bit straighter than the other. Notice the position of your hands next to your thighs. Are your hands in front of your legs? Are they next to your legs? Is one forward? And then which direction are the palms of your hands facing? Are they facing more to the back, or are they facing the side of your legs? And then last of all, notice the shape of your fingers. Notice the curl of your fingertips. Do they feel equal on both sides? And then just take a deep breath in through your nose. Feel how your ribs move against the wall behind you. Exhale through your mouth. And then just blink your eyes, open and close. We're going to go into a roll down from here. So take a breath in. As you breathe out, just look down towards your feet without forcing your neck. Just let your upper body roll forward and then roll down until your hands are just below your knees and pause. So you should have a C shape of the spine, arms hanging heavy, relax the back of your neck, but your pelvis should still be pushed back against the wall. You shouldn't be moving away from the wall completely. Stay there for a moment, take a breath in, and then exhale, come all the way back up, feeling a little bit of an imprint of your spine, and then unravel and come all the way up to stand in your starting position. Place your hands on your pelvis, keep your knees bent, and then start to tilt the pelvis posterior. Feel how your lower back flattens against the wall, and then release your pelvis away. And again, a little bit of a tilt of the pelvis, feel an imprint. You feel how the pubic bone tucks forward and release. Now just keep doing a few more of these, and this, believe it or not, connects up into the shoulder complex, the shoulder girdle, because of the hip flexor muscles. So keep going, tilting forwards and backwards. The hip flexor, called the iliopsoas, it goes from the top of your thigh bone through the pelvis and connects onto your lumbar spine. So as you imprint the lumbar spine, you're giving the psoas a little bit of a stretch and then allowing it to almost return to its neutral position. Now, that iliopsoas connects with the diaphragm at the lumbar spine. The fascia of those two muscles connect. So, I mean, it's crazy. Everything on our bodies is connected, right? So even though we're doing a tilt of the pelvis, this is affecting the diaphragm, and that's going to be affecting what's happening with the upper body. So let's just do one more time. And then release your pelvis back to neutral and hold it. Just let your arms go again. We're going to do another roll down. Keep your knees soft. Look away from, bring your head away from the wall. Look down to your toes, and then just start rolling through your spine. Bring your hands just in front of your knees, and then stop. Anchor your pelvis, and now place your hands just on top of your knees, on your thigh bones, and start to lengthen your spine slightly. So now you're going into an extended position, abs are connecting, your bum is still connected to the wall, so don't move away. Now, knees are bent. Hold on to the right leg and just let your left arm hang. So there's almost like a weight of the arm that's drawing softly on the shoulder joint. Start to draw little circles. And it's a pendulum motion, so I'm not forcing it. It's almost like I'm letting the weight of my hand dangle, draw on the shoulder, and create a natural movement. So if there are any issues on this shoulder, you might notice that it feels a bit stuck. So breathe with it, let it move gently, make sure your abs are working to support you. And then pause and change direction and draw little circles the other way. So sometimes I'll do this with a little hand weight. We don't really need it. It's nice to add that little drag, but you know, gravity is doing its thing right now. Use your abs, rooting into your feet. If you get tired at any point, just take a break. And then just let your arm come to a standstill. And now place that left hand onto your thigh. Use it to help you support. Take the right hand down. Just let it dangle. Find the weight of the shoulder. And we start to draw little circles. Doesn't matter which way you go first because we are going to change. Keeping your pelvis nice and stable. Keeping your upper back nice and stable. Just let the movement come from the shoulder joint. And we're going to change, go the other way. And just a few more moments here. And let your arm come to a standstill. Placing your hands just up onto your knees. Round your spine again. Use your abs, let your arms go. Take another breath, and then come back up into standing, coming all the way up, and just settle your ribs against the wall, and then straighten your knees. Stay here for a moment. Now, I want you to turn the palms of your hands to face back. Put your hands back against the wall, so they're a little bit behind you almost. If you need to bend your knees again to protect your back, then bend your knees. Start to lean a little bit towards one side with your spine. It's not a big movement. And then come all the way back up. Lean over to the other side. And come back up. So these are called windscreen wipers. So notice on your body if you can lean more on one side than the other. And I'm not telling you to change it. I just want you to observe your own body here. And then notice if on one side you want to twist the spine. So in other words, you want to keep your arms and your upper back grounded, but some people want to roll forward like this. So try to keep yourself squared against the surface. So this lateral flexion of the spine is mobilizing from side to side, and it's also getting a little bit of a release around the muscles of the rib cage called the intercostals, all related to the shoulder complex. Last one. Come all the way back up, hold it, and let your arms hang heavy. Soften your knees slightly. We're going to do another roll down. Take a breath in. Exhale as you look down, and then just allow your back to peel forward. Keep pressing your pelvis against the door. And then just stay there. Your hands are just below your knees. And now on the next breath, see if you can go all the way down towards the ground. If you need to put your hands on your shins to protect your shoulders and neck, then do so. But otherwise, put your fingertips just in front of your toes. Now we're going to clean the wall. So I want you to bend your knees and slide your pelvis down. And then start straightening your legs and slide your pelvis up. It doesn't matter if you straighten the legs or not. And again, bending knees and straightening knees. And let's just do a few more. Notice how the tensioning on the back of your legs affects what's happening around the neck and shoulders. So if your hamstrings are tight, you know what's going to happen is that your shoulders hunch up to your ears. So again, you don't have to change it, you just have to notice. One more time. And now almost straighten the legs, keep them a little bit soft. Start to walk your hands up your shins. Start to walk your hands up your legs. Round your spine. Come all the way upright. So you're going to sit up nice and tall against the wall. Beautiful. Now, bring yourself away from the wall. So you can face the same way, but I'm going to turn sideways and use the cupboards now so you can see what I'm doing. I want you to place your hands, elbows bent, on the wall just in front of you. So if you straighten your arms, you'd probably have to move the hands up higher. But because the elbows are bent and we're standing a little bit closer, you can bring your hands down slightly. And if you need to put something under your wrists, you can do that as well. Take a look at your feet, big toes in line. I want you to have nice active gluteals. Keep the elbows locked. And all we're going to do is let the scapula squeeze together. And then we're going to press away and let the scapula glide wide. My elbows aren't bending and straightening. My elbows are staying here. So we do a little squeeze. And then press away. And again, retraction of the scapula, so they're drawing together. And then as I press away and they glide wide, that is called protraction of the scapula. So just taking a few more. And guys, it's a super, super tiny movement. Everybody thinks it's supposed to be huge. It really isn't. Last two. And protraction. Last one. And press away. And come all the way to center. Now, turn sideways to the wall. I'm doing my right hand first. It doesn't matter which side you do first. And I want you to have your elbow bent and see if you can point your fingers backwards away from you. And then see if you can start to straighten. You might need to move the hand up a little bit. Straighten. So your fingers are pointing away. This can be a pretty strong stretch already. This is the carpal tunnel. Oftentimes we do this in a 4-point kneeling position, but that can put strain on the shoulder if you have an injury. So now from here, we're just going to do a little bit of a twist away. You feel that stretch, and then a little release. And again, it's a little bit of a twist away, and a little release. So let's do a few more. And guys, I want you to really tune into what your own specific needs are for your shoulders today. So if you need to point your fingers in a slightly different direction, do it. If you need to straighten the elbow or bend the elbow, do it. Okay, so just pay attention to what you need. And release. And we're going to do one more time. Keep breathing. And release. Good. Now I'm going to turn and we're going to face the other way. So now I'm doing my left hand. My back's going to be towards you. So I'm pointing my fingers back. I feel pretty comfortable to straighten my arm here. Hold it for a second. And then we do just a little bit of a rotation. And release. So again, just find the range that works for you. Notice on your body which side is more intense. Definitely, I have a lot of neural sensation on my right side. My left side actually feels okay. Last few. Keep breathing. One more time. And release, and coming all the way back. All right, now, I want you to take your massage ball. Today I'm using a tennis ball, okay? And you can choose which side you're going to do first. I'm going to do my left side first. So I'm going to pop the ball. I'm doing it from the top, but you can actually put it from underneath if you need to. And I want you to get it just between the shoulder blade and your spine on whichever side you're doing. I'm doing my left side. So it's not on your spine itself and it's not on the bony part of your shoulder blade. And then knees bent, oh my goodness, and you can start to roll around on it. So these muscles between the shoulder blade and the spine, sort of around that middle section, are called the rhomboids. And the rhomboids are responsible for squeezing the shoulder blades together. So a lot of people, just with our posture types now, these muscles can be lengthened and they can be weak. And for some people, if we're trying to really correct ourselves with our posture, we might overuse these muscles and they can get quite tight. So for me, if I want to get the ball up a little bit higher, I need to bend my knees slightly. And then I can move up into that next little section. Holy smokes, I can feel a bit of a hot spot there. So when the ball goes higher up the shoulder, you're coming more to another group of muscles called the upper trapezius muscles. And the upper traps are responsible for lifting the shoulders up to the ears, like a shoulder shrug action. And they can be super duper tight on a lot of people. And now what I'd like you to do is find your most delicious release point, meaning it's going to be a little bit sore, but you know it's going to actually feel good after the fact. And I just want you to lean back into it. By the way, guys, my pelvis is not touching the door here. So I'm stepping away so I can really kind of lean my body weight into it. And now start small, lifting and lowering the shoulder. So this can be pretty intense, right? Because now what we're doing is we're using that ball to grip the fascia on our back, and then the movement of the arm is gliding the muscle underneath the fascia to release. So it can be very intense, and you can make this movement small or big. I kind of feel like this is the range I need. I could go a little bit higher. Oh, that's quite intense. So just kind of figure out what feels good for you right now. Just that little bit of a leaning back into it. I'm going to do just one more time. And release. And then take your time as you roll the ball out. Now, before we do the other side, I want you to lean back, just like we started. Feet away from the wall, bum touching. Get your upper back touching, and then just close your eyes and notice how it feels. And then when you're ready, you can blink eyes open, come a little bit away, and now do the other side. So I'm doing my right side. And I feel like I need it up a little bit higher. So again, I brought my pelvis away from the wall so that I can really kind of lean my body weight onto the ball. And then I'm doing that little side to side movement. And it's sort of halfway. up my thoracic spine. So it's not at the top. And I'm between my spine and my shoulder blade. And it's interesting, it's not as intense for me on this side. I have a funny feeling that when we take the ball up a little bit higher, I'm going to feel it much more. Just keep breathing into it for a second. And then I'm going to bend my knees a little bit so that I'm going up slightly with the ball. And then I'm rolling around. So this is definitely my trigger point on the right side, is more the upper trapezius. So just be kind to yourself, guys. If it's like really intense, then don't put so much body weight on it. Or maybe you just want to stop and breathe. And then settle yourself onto the best spot for you. And then if you're ready, you start adding a forward and down with your arm. Now remember to breathe, hey? So fascia loves oxygen. After class, you're going to make sure you drink lots of water. Explore the range for yourself. And guys, your range on one side might be very different from the other, and that's fine. Don't hurt yourself. Just notice, pay attention. Let's do one more. And release. And then take your time as you take the ball away. You can put the ball down and then take a moment to settle yourself back. Rest your pelvis, soften your knees, close your eyes, and just let yourself settle. Notice what is happening with your body. And here's something interesting, by the way, guys. The back of my head is now touching the door. So before, when I started, my head was a little bit away. I'm not forcing it, but I can feel now that my head is touching. We're just going to take a breath in. And then exhale, open your eyes. And now come away from the wall. So now we're going to come down onto our mats. And we're just going to take our time as we roll to lie onto our backs. And just take a moment to settle here. Knees bent, feet slightly apart, and then make sure that your lower back feels happy. And then take your hands onto the sides of your ribs. If you want a cushion under your head, you can prop yourself up. So again, if you want to have your eyes open or closed, you can choose. And we're just going to start focusing on some breath. So we're going to inhale through our noses, feeling the ribs expand. And then we're going to breathe out through the mouth and feel the ribs close. And again, noticing the movement underneath your hands of your ribs. And double check for yourself that you're not tensing up your lower back when you do this. And then bring your awareness to your lungs. So visualize the inflating of your lungs as you inhale. And exhale. Emptying your lungs. Let's do 2 more. And last one. And it's amazing how soothing this is on our entire body, just breathing. And relax. Now from here, bring both your hands just straight up above you. So you can soften the elbows if you're feeling any strain or pain. And now start small, opening your arms to the side, and just double check if you pause here for a moment, if that feels okay for your shoulders and for your neck. And if it does, then you can go a little bit further. But if you feel that that's your point of stopping, then you stop. Maybe you can bring your arms down so that they're almost touching the ground. And then breathe out, bringing your hands back up just above your shoulders. And again, opening arms to the side. So figure out where is your end range. So again, for anybody with a neck and shoulder issue, you might be feeling it. Most of us, if we don't have neck and shoulder issues, just take this for granted, right? And we're going to do one more time. So it's that opening across your chest and then reaching all the way up. Now from here, bend your elbows and just bring the backs of the arms down to the ground. So see if you can rest your arms. If you need to put a pillow underneath your arms, then feel free to do so. Relaxing into your neck. And we're going to start to do robot arms. So one arm comes forward as one hand goes back, and then gently switch and go the other way. So this is now doing internal and external rotation at each of the shoulders. So move quite slowly and notice if it's easier for you to take your thumb back or if it's easier for you to take your thumb forwards. And then also notice the difference between your right and left sides. So like for example, it's much easier for me to take my thumb back on both sides. But when I bring my hand forward, I can do it with my right side without cheating. But when I bring this left hand forward now, I can feel almost like my scapula pushing up, like my whole spine is trying to rotate to help me. I'm not actually able to keep it stable. So just notice what's happening with you. And then come back to the center and then just rest your hands onto your lower belly. So we're going to be doing a rotator cuff stretch in a second, but before we do that, let's just do a little release for the neck. So take the ball and I want you to place it underneath the base of your skull. So it's just at that point where your skull attaches onto the top of your spine. And then once you feel centered there, hands are back on my abs, I'm doing a slight turning of my head from side to side. So the ball is actually rolling from right to left. Now again, this can be pretty intense. Just where your head, your skull attaches onto your neck, we have a whole bunch of ligaments, so connective tissue, fascia, that literally stabilizes your head on top. And if we have any issues with our posture, so in other words, if your head is kind of pushing forward, like a lot of people nowadays, especially teenagers, right, that takes neck issue, then the fascia starts to grip, starts to lock. So this can be pretty intense, and it also explains headaches, those tension headaches. So now roll slightly to one side. So I've rolled my head a little to the right, so the ball is settled on the right side, and then just stay there. Breathe. Finding a little bit of a trigger point. And then ever so slowly come off it. and then roll over to the other side. My hair is slipping around on the tennis ball, which is why I'm moving it. So you might need to do the same. So now my head is a little bit to the left. The ball is on the left side at the base of my skull. And again, just breathing into it. A few more moments here. And then bring your head all the way back to the center. And then take the ball out. Place it down. Let your head rest back for a moment. And again, if you want to close your eyes, just notice the shift. Notice the release. Okay, so now we're going to go into the rotator cuff stretch. So roll onto your left side first. So just a little roll. You're not going to go all the way to your side. It's just a little shift. So you can place your right hand into your lower back. If it's super duper comfortable, you can walk your hand higher up towards your shoulder blades and then roll yourself back again. So you are literally lying on top of your own hand. And then you have quite a strong internal rotation at the shoulder joint. And you're just allowing yourself to breathe here. And as you settle into it and almost surrender into the stretch, you might notice how much tension you were holding in the first place. You might not have realized it. If it's painful, then maybe you need to slide your hand lower down your back. Few more moments. So again, this is a lot of what we do in yin yoga, for example, is that we come into these postures, these stretches, and then we just stay there, breathe, and sink into it. And in your own time, just roll your legs over so that you start to ease your body weight off your hand. Take your time because you don't need to pull on that shoulder. Slide your hand out, help yourself if you need to, and then come back to the center, settle. Just let your hands rest on your lower belly for a moment. You're welcome to close your eyes. And again, it's just about noticing what's happening now with your right and left shoulders. What is the difference, if any? And if there's no difference, then obviously that rotator cuff release wasn't an issue for you. So that's absolutely fine. And now we're going to check the other side. So start rolling onto your right side, placing your left hand either into your lower back, or you could walk your hand up a little bit higher. Take your time as you roll onto your back again, and then just settle there for a moment. Be conscious of your breathing, because your breathing gives you the opportunity to release and relax. Gives your mind and your brain a chance to focus on something. Just notice the letting go. We're staying for just a few more moments. Take a breath. Let your knees move gently to the right. Take your time, taking body weight off your hand, sliding it out, and then bringing yourself all the way back to the center. And again, let your hands rest on your belly. Find a little bit of length through your spine. Just let yourself settle, observe. Finding hopefully that symmetry between the right and left sides of our body. And blink your eyes open. We're going to hug our knees in towards our chests. Tuck yourself into a tight little ball shape. And then you can start to use your feet. You can move your hands behind your legs. And let's just start to use our legs to do a little bit of a kicking sensation. So because our backs are staying in a rounded shape, our scapula should be sitting nice and evenly on the back of our bodies. We shouldn't be feeling any strain or pain right here. And then come all the way up and placing your feet down. So I just want you to turn into a side seat. I'm going to do a mirror image for you. So you're going to sit on your right hip. You're going to have your knees stacked with your feet over towards the left, and then just hold onto that left ankle. And we're going to do that little neural glide that I've done before with you. So your right hand goes up, in, and then scoops away with the palm facing up. Simple movement. And palm up, palm down, and then scoop away. Good. So it's this whole sort of spiraling movement of the spine. And it's getting a little bit of a neural glide. And if this is feeling like enough work or movement for you, you can continue with this. But otherwise, you can turn your head and look away as you scoop. And then when you bring your hand up, just bring your head to center. So you look down towards the left as your right hand scoops away. Connect to your breath. Let's just take a few more. One more. And relax. Place your right hand onto the ground. Make sure your fingers are pointing away from you, that you feel comfortable. And now take your left hand and just hold onto the side of your ribs here. Guys, move slowly with control. Just let your shoulder come up towards your ear. And then press away from your shoulder or your hand as you come back to where you started. So as you let your shoulder come up, there's an upward movement of the scapula behind you as well. And then when you press away from your hand and your shoulder comes down, there's a downward action of the scapula. So this is called elevation, and this is called depression. So we're just going to do a few more. Now you notice that I'm not dropping, I'm not doing this. That's going to cause an injury, okay? So it really is a controlled movement. With your hand underneath your rib cage, can you feel those muscles firing up? So you want those muscles to work. That's the serratus anterior. Last one. And press up. Hold it. Fabulous. Now, taking your left arm, reaching it up, And we're just going to open up across the chest. Keep it small if you need to. This does not have to be a massive movement. And now bringing your hands towards each other, only as far as you can manage. Now, when we take the arm up and back, we are opening the front arm line. When we bring the hands towards each other, we are opening the back arm line. But we know that it's not as simple as that. Start to notice how your scapula squeeze together, and then start to notice how your scapula glide wide. But what's interesting is that your right hand is anchored. So it's the movement of our rib cage and spine that is creating the movement of the scapula. Because otherwise, the scapula is staying anchored in the same place. So as we move, rotation of thoracic spine, the ribs are going. Notice how your head, your lumbar spine, and your pelvis naturally follow. And now come all the way down and stop, placing both hands to the ground, and just allow yourself to settle here in a gentle rotation. I've taken my hands a little wider and I'm bending my elbows slightly. I've let my top knee slide a little bit forward so my lower back isn't straining, and I'm relaxing the back of my neck. Bring your awareness to your breath. And then when you're ready, just start to walk your hands all the way up towards you, and now bring your feet around to the other side. So guys, if you need to sit on a block or on a chair or move your feet away, then go for it. Adjust what you need. Holding onto your ankle, make sure that you're sitting up nice and upright. And let's just start with that arm movement. So that lovely neural glide, palm up, palm down, scoop away, stretch. And listen, if you want to go faster than what I'm doing it, go for it. Just make sure that you feel you've got control of the movement. That's it. And again, if this is an injured side or an issue side, then you can make it super duper small. There's nothing that says you have to go huge. You can do it super duper small like this. Explore it. And then would you like to add that turning of your head? Taking just a few more. One more. And relax. Now placing that left hand down. Double check that your fingers are pointing away. Get comfy. Placing your hand on the side of your rib cage. And from here, we do just a little shrug of the shoulder and then pressing away. So again, the big thing here is to control the movement, because if you dropped into this, it would just impinge. So we don't want to cause any kind of jarring movement or injury. This is really about controlling the movement with the muscles underneath the ribs here. Serratus anterior, elevating the scapula and then depressing the scapula. And guys, we're doing very focused work here. So if you get tired at any point, or if it almost feels like a burning sensation because it's tired, then please just take a break, all right? And we're going to do just one more time. Feel the muscles connecting. And press up and hold. Now taking your right hand reaching your arm up and back just as far as you can go, and then bringing your hands towards each other as far as you can go. Inhale, reach back, opening front arm line. Exhale, come forward, opening the back arm line. Feeling the rotation of the spine and the resulting movement of your rib cage as you move. And then allowing your neck, your head, your lumbar spine, and your pelvis to naturally follow. Last one, come all the way down and hold. Put both hands flat. I'm taking my hands quite wide apart, softening elbows, allowing myself to square shoulders. I need to actually rotate the hip in order to get there. You're very welcome to close your eyes if you wish. Taking a moment to breathe. And then walking hands all the way up. And now we're going to come onto all fours. So bringing wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. And with a lengthened spine, start to just move forwards and backwards. We've done this in a few of our classes. You can keep it super duper small if that's what your body needs right now. Or you can go quite big. Feeling the weight bearing on your hands, hopefully equally on the right and on the left. Coming into the center and hold it. We're going to do cat stretch. Round your spine up towards the sky. And as you round your spine, notice how the scapula protracts. We've been talking about that earlier today. And now lengthening your spine, lifting your tail, lifting your chest. So we are extending the spine, and notice how the scapula retracts. And now we're just going to do 3 more. Keep breathing through your movement. Flexion and extension of the spine. In Pilates, we call this the full cat stretch. In yoga, we call it the cat and the cow. And just really taking this opportunity to notice what's happening through the shoulders and the scapula as you move. Let's round our spine up into cat and let's all meet here for a second. Open your knees, big toes touch, and then settle your pelvis back, bend your elbows, and you're going to keep your hands quite close to your head with your elbows bent. And I'd like you to connect your thumb to thumb, index finger to index finger, and just spread the other fingers out gently. So you almost feel like you're making a star shape with your hands right there. Your elbows should be completely relaxed, neck and shoulders completely relaxed. And this time we're bringing our awareness to our breathing along the back of our bodies. So before we had our hands on the front of our ribs, and now I want you to feel the movement into the back of your ribs and the back of your body. Staying for just a few more moments. Head, neck, arms completely supported and at ease. And on your next breath, start to walk your hands back towards your knees. And then making your way all the way up into standing. So you're going to bring yourself fairly close to the wall again, but we're not going to be leaning back against the wall yet. So you can have your feet slightly separated, having knees bent, and then just taking your right hand and start to, I'm going to come quite close so you can see, start to massage the knuckle of the left thumb, and then come down onto the first little digit there, and then down to the tip of the finger. And now you're going to actually do the same thing on the index finger. So first you massage the knuckle, and then move down, coming to that first little joint, and then a little bit lower to the second joint, and then to the tip of the finger. And now do the same thing with the middle finger. You're going to do that first knuckle, and then move down a little bit lower, down lower, and just off the tip of the finger, and onto your ring finger, your fourth finger, giving it a lovely release. So the other thing to remember is that the arm lines actually come all the way to the tips of the fingers with the fascia. And then do the baby finger. So we've been doing a lot of focus on work around the neck, the upper back, the shoulders, the arms. So we don't want to forget the hands, right? And then come all the way to the tip of the finger. And then just let your arms relax. Close your eyes for a moment. And can you feel how your left hand is almost tingling? It feels alive. So it's such an easy way to wake up the energy all the way through to the fingertips. And then open your eyes, and let's do the other side so we're nice and even. So starting with the thumb, rubbing around the knuckle of the thumb, and then moving your way down a little bit lower, and then to the tip. Index finger. And again, for anybody who suffers from arthritis, this is one of the first places that we might actually experience arthritis. So this is really important that we keep working the circulation, the mobility, coming all the way to the tip of the middle finger. And then going to the fourth finger, the ring finger, working your way down. And by the way, you're probably getting some nice strengthening work in the hand that's giving the massage. And then finally to the baby finger. Rubbing all the way down. And then just let yourself settle, close eyes. And feeling that energy, that awareness into the right hand. Blink your eyes open. We're going to finish with one roll down, standing away from the wall. Take a breath in. Exhale as you look towards your toes. Feel the release at the back of your neck. And as you continue rolling forward, feel the protraction of the scapula. Let your arms hang like pendulums. Keep coming a little bit forward. Feeling how the shape of your rib cage is changing and how you get that stretch almost into the lower back as you come forward. Stay for a moment as you inhale. And then exhale, bring yourself all the way upright, rooting into your feet. Just allowing your body to restack itself and lifting tall. Nicely done, guys. I hope everybody felt okay with all the different exercises for the neck and shoulders. Not your typical Pilates class, but hopefully you felt good.